Hello, everyone. Welcome to Boss's Orders, a Pokemon podcast. I am co-host Cole, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host Andy. Andy, say hello.
Hello.
Today we're back again. Last episode we went over to the Battle Region set in Japan. I went over all the spicy cards or interesting looking cards for that. This week we're gonna go over the Time Gazer stuff. We're not gonna cover any of the regionals or the international qualifier championship things that happened, or any of the other new set information, because this episode is going to be jam packed with so much interesting cards from these two sets that we're just not going to have time to cover the other stuff. But the good thing about podcasts is there's always going to be a next one. So we'll figure out what we're going to do in the next episode in a couple weeks. But this one, we're just going to talk about the new cards from Time Gazer and Space Juggler, which are going to be in Astral Radiance, our English set. Wow, that actually comes out next month in a couple weeks, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty soon.
Ooh. Oh boy. Okay, so you want to just jump into it?
Let's just jump into it.
Okay, the first card. So we're not going to talk about every card, but I've kind of done a little bit of a note taking on some of the cards that I really want to talk about. The first one I want to talk about is Leafeon. It's just a stage 1 Pokemon. So it's got one attack. Really, the only attack that we care about is its colorless energy attack. So it's called Energy Gardens. You search your deck for up to 3 different types of basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon in any way that you like, and you shuffle your deck. I like this card a lot, especially because it's stage 1, and there's a Zoroark that lets it transform into other stage 1s from your discard pile. So there are multiple ways where you can get this going, and it can be a really nice toolbox weakness hitting setter upper, basically, if you're running 3 different types of energy, which is not actually unheard of right now, because you got a lot of fighting, dark, and water decks that are running around, because some of the best cards are fighting, dark, and water. So it's very interesting, and I think that it could see potential, but beyond that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, this card's fine. I think this would be a lot better if this was an ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it being attack is a lot slower.
Yeah, it's kind of a liability. But,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a setup piece. It's it's a little bit of a fog, right? Like you make this attack and they single prize you out, and then you're able to promote whatever was set up, and because you don't have to attach it to 3 different Pokemon, you can take 3 energy and slap them all into one guy on your bench.
Yep, which is very similar, very reminiscent to the Arceus V and V Star. It just doesn't do any damage, and they have to be 3 individual or 3 different basic energies. But it also only costs 1 colorless, but it's an evolution. So it's a nice balance. It's like a budget Arceus, basically.
Yeah, I think you bring up your own point there. That isn't Arceus just better than this.
True, yeah, but if you don't want to spend the money on the Arceus and you want to be a little bit of a budget freak, then I think that Leafeon's not bad.
Yeah.
Arceus is still definitely better, but worst case scenario, it's a decent option. All right, and unfortunately, that's pretty much the only grass type until we get to Lilligant V that I want to talk about. I don't know if you have anything else that you want a different Pokemon you want to bring up, but
no, I don't. I don't think any of these are really worth their salt.
Yeah, unfortunately, grass kind of got the shaft in so far, and that might change as we get a little further on. But now
they've got plenty of tools already.
So we've got Hisuian Lilligant V. It's a 200 HP basic, and it has a costless attack. Dance, which just draw cards until you have 6 in your hand, which is nice, but in a format with Marnie and Judge, it's nice that it's costless. Jesus.
It's cool that it doesn't have a cost, but at the same time, then you're not
advancing.
You're not advancing your board state at all.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't take advantage of this really, especially if you're going to play this Lilligant, you're going to play the V-Star.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, I don't know. I actually don't think this V-Star is very good.
I'm
So the
really
V-Star
torn.
is a 260 HP. It's got green, colorless for parallel spin, 130 plus. If you return an energy attached to it to your hand, it does 100 more damage, so 230 for 3 energy.
Yeah.
I don't
then you,
know.
and then you bounce an energy back to your hand, which I don't really like.
Which is not great. It's fine if you think it's going to die, but I don't know. And then the V-Star power is an ability, once during your turn, search your deck up to 5 in any combination of green grass Pokemon and grass energy. Reveal them, put them into your hand, and shuffle your deck. I don't think this is... See, that's the problem, and this is what I was talking about a little while ago. When you have Arceus and Arceus V-Star just in the format, those are like the gold standard for every V-Star, V and V-Star pair that we see.
Yeah.
And I feel like for most V and V-Stars that we've talked about, going over these new cards, Arceus is just better.
It really is.
It's less of a liability. It doesn't put you into a color.
Mm-hmm.
And it does what everything else does, but better.
Yep. And it hits really good numbers, too.
Yeah. It just doesn't, I don't know. And that's what I was worried about with, like, the first introduction of V-Stars introducing this Arceus is, like, that's the standard of everything. Everything has to be met to that power level or power creep it, and it's just not. So, like, other than, like, the Hisuian starters and I think 1 or 2 cards we'll talk about today, I don't think we're going to see a lot of V-Star stuff that isn't Arceus because that's just the best.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree. All right.
Moving on.
I'll talk about the Politoed because it's kind of interesting.
Why would you talk? See, this is why our episodes are 8 years long, because this Politoed sucks. And we're going to spend 20 minutes talking about it. This Politoad's trash. I'm vetoing talking about the Politoed.
Okay,
this is bad. This takes more setup than anything I've ever seen in any game.
Okay.
If you have 8,000 different Pokemon on your bench, and it's raining outside, and it's between 64 and 66 degrees, and you stubbed your toe this morning, this attack does 10 more damage.
Hey, we're not playing MetaZoo here.
You might as well be with this thing. Moving on. No Politoed.
All right.
The Ducklet has some of that really nice claymation art that I really like.
Yeah, it's so cute.
I like that Ducklet.
Luxray V is the next one I want to talk about.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. Yeah.
So, double colorless Fang Snipe for 30 damage, and your opponent reveals your hand, and then you discard a trainer you find there. Trainer is a very wide category, so it's a nice thing that you get to discard it as well. Whereas if we think about another hand disruption card like Malamar VMAX, where you put a card from their hand on the bottom of their deck, they can still search it out. So discarding is kind of nice. But it just doesn't do a ton of damage with that first attack. But there is a second attack for Lightning Colorless, which is 120 damage. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. So that doesn't sound like a lot, but paralyzed says that they can't retreat. And I believe they can't retreat, but they also can't attack that turn. So they'd have to have a switch card to get out. So you kind of are going to like stun lock them into the active. I personally don't think that this card is too great because it's weak to fighting, and fighting is really prevalent right now, and it's also 210 HP, which I don't think is super cool.
It's weak.
I don't know. I think that there might be something for it, but definitely not like a top tier.
No, but I like the design space of this card.
Mm-hmm.
I wish this wasn't a V, because then you can just, if this is a single prizer, you can put a Turbo Colorless Energy on this and use it just to disrupt.
Yep.
Right? Because I think making them discard a trainer card is great, because a lot of times you Marnie and you take their huge hand and then you kind of refill, and then they've got like their own Marnie or a Professor's Research or, whatever, the water chick, whatever, they've got something that'll help them. That'll put the pedal down on their next turn. But with Luxray, you're able to strip that away from them, leaving them with a hand of just like some Pokemon and a Great Ball or something, and that's. Yep. I think that's a pretty cool attack. I like the design space, but again, it being a V with like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, not like a VMAX to go into, right? We don't have a Luxray VMAX or V-Star to go into, so this thing's a little bit of a liability.
You could
if you take it into your deck. So go ahead.
So you could put Cape of Toughness on, which would give it a bit more HP, which kind of takes it out of some of these one-hit ranges that aren't that it's not weak to. So that's a little bit of a
you could,
boost.
But then we're like Choice Belt exists,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're playing a card like we're playing Cape of Toughness, which is a card we might not normally play to make our average card better, which is usually, if it's not a build around, it's not usually worth the slots.
Yep.
And I'd say if you're going to tech this, just play the Legendary Dog instead. Like it's just
the Raikou.
Yeah, the Raikou. It's better to. In this game, it feels better to draw a card than to make your opponent discard a card, right? And it doesn't take your attack, so.
Yep. I would agree with that.
Yeah, really cool design space, though. I'd like to see more of this.
Mm-hmm. In a perfect world, I'd love to talk about all the Reggies together, but I think that deck is just way too much. Y'all can look it up on your own time. It's based around the Regigigas in this set. But yeah, it's an interesting build for sure, but not a huge fan of it. But I do like this.
It's like its own episode.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. But the Hisuian Typhlosion, though, just the little baby guy.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, so he's got 150 HP, and it's got ability called Spectral Ball. So once during your turn, you can discard a Psychic Energy from your hand. If you do, your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned and confused. So this is pretty nice because Psychic has a lot of tools to search for energies, like Fog Crystal, for example. So you can search it, grab it, and then discard it. And there's actually a few different cards that do a lot of damage depending on how many different status conditions your opponent has. Also, both of those conditions are pretty annoying. So that's another thing that's pretty nice. Then also has a purple colorless attack called Shadow Bind for 90, and then your opponent can't retreat. So they'd have to swap out. But, I mean, if you poison and burn them, if you burn and confuse them, then they really have to retreat. And they can't retreat, so then they have to find a switch out.
Yeah, this card's got synergy with itself. It's pretty cool. My problem with it is my problem with most Stage 2 Pokemon, and then it's that it's a Stage 2 Pokemon.
Yep.
But it's cool. It also, you have to, like, in some other decks, so like this thing evolves from Quilava, right? And Quilava and Cyndaquil are both fire Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get stuck, you might not have, like, the energy to do something with them. I don't know. I guess actually all their attacks are colorless, so never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. Forget that I said that. I should have checked before I started. But yeah, so I don't know. This card's fine. It's just, it's slow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's slow. And again, it's like we have to hold it to the Inteleon standard of Stage 2s, and I don't think this meets it.
I don't think so. It might when it rotates out, and if there's other builds around it that are actually pretty good. Actually, Hisuian Sneezler, which I think we might talk about later. That might be something to talk about. Jirachi V, though?
Yeah, this is cool. I like this card.
Yeah, it's hard to find a really bad Jirachi. So you want to go over this one?
Yeah, so it's a V, obviously. 180 HP, Psychic type. So weak to Dark, which is rough, but you're not going to have this in your active spot. Ability, Wish Bridge. When your basic Pokemon V is knocked out by damage from an opponent's Pokemon's attack. So it's got some very specific qualifiers on it that you would, like, that's how your brain would think it would work anyway, but it doesn't do stuff if it dies to, like, poison or something. But anyway,
yeah, like counter moving.
Yeah, exactly. So when your basic V is knocked out by damage from an opponent's Pokemon's attack, you may choose one basic energy card from the knocked out Pokemon and move it to one of your other Pokemon.
It's like an experience share, but on a Pokemon V.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
This is cool. We're reaching, like, a critical mass of techie Vs in the format.
Yep.
Where you're not going to be able to fit all of them. So you have to have something that's pretty specific to want to do with this, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And with the amount of energy recycling that exists in the format anyway, I don't know if you need this necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think that this is a card that's going to see a ton of play right
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a cool card to exist, and it'll probably be pretty cheap because of it.
For sure. Yep, absolutely.
So I think it's a good one.
All right. So the next card that I wanted to talk about is this Machamp V.
Yeah, Machamp V and VMAX. I love the art on this Machamp V. It looks so cool.
I love both of the arts so much. I think they look fantastic. So fighting in colorless Revenge Buster. 220 HP by the way.
220 HP, a good amount of HP.
Yeah. Revenge Buster is 50 plus damage. So if your bench Pokemon have any damage counters on them, this attack does 50 more. We don't really care about the Seismic Toss for 140, but we really just care about the Revenge Buster because the Machamp V has a Revenge Buster attack as well, but it's a little bit better.
A little bit better.
Yeah.
So Machamp. So this Machamp and the Machamp V has the same attack, but with increased numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't count for each damage counter. It's just if any of your bench has any damage on it, this thing does 50 more damage.
Yep.
So it doesn't stack, but it is still super good in my opinion.
Yeah, it's so easy to actually to do as well. I wonder if they changed the translation, because I thought it was if each of your bench Pokemon has a damage counter on it, then it did 140 more. But I could be wrong because this was revealed like 3 weeks ago. So I could be misremembering that. But there's I don't know if we'll talk about it this one if we talked about it last week, but there's a stadium card where whenever a card is put into play, you deal or a Pokemon, you put 2 damage counters on it. So there you go. You just literally put something down and then you're good to go. For fighting in a colorless, which is so cheap for 220 damage right there. Plus if you have the choice belt on it and any other like multipliers that you have as well.
You know how bad I wish this Machamp was single strike?
I'm surprised that it's not, to be honest. That seems really good.
Yeah, it's probably a little pushed if it is.
I mean, you could just change some of the attack costs and some of the damage. Like, Revenge Buster could still be 50 and do 120, and maybe for 3 energy, because you would want those fighting.
You want to make it like fighting or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the VMAX is same attack, 330 HP, 80 base damage, and then 140 more. So it hits numbers on its own.
Yep.
Which is nice. And then it's got another attack that's for fighting colorless, 240, and it can't use that attack next turn.
It's kind of funny because you would be, if you had a choice belt and you were able to do the conditions for Revenge Buster, you're hitting more than Max Charge would have for 1 less energy. Which is interesting.
Yes. Worth noting is Psychic weak, so...
that is a problem.
Yeah.
Especially when we see Mew is still a Juggernaut, and then also Whimsicott V, and V-Star actually.
Hey, I called it.
I agreed. I thought it was super cool, and oh boy, did it show up.
Yeah, well, that Whimsicott deck is sweet.
Yeah. I also have this Sudowoodo, which I think would be a really good pair with the Machamp, because just for his ability. So if this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, its retreat cost is 0. So it's a free pivot as long as it's got a damage counter on it, which is very easy to do. So, and I think that would be actually pretty helpful for Machamp VMAX, because you can swap out if it needed to refresh Max Charge for any reason, or if it's got like a status condition or something like that. It's a nice pivot card, and you wouldn't have to run Air Balloon either. So
absolutely. The Sudowoodo is a basic. It does not evolve from Bonsly, so it's its own deal, which is nice.
Yeah. All right. The very next card that I have is this Hisuian Samurai, little baby guy for 170 HP. It's a stage 2, just like the Typhlosion, but its ability Tricky Stance. Once during your turn, you can discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. Seems like pretty good.
Now this is the beans. This is what I like.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a good payoff for a stage 2, in my opinion.
Yep, and it's a bit bulkier too. 170 on a stage 2 is pretty nice, actually. So that's pretty good. We're not going to talk about its. Actually, no. Dark Prism is not bad.
Yeah, no, this is fine. Like,
Yeah, Dark Colorless. 60 plus damage, 20 more damage times the number of energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So, if you've got ways to mass accelerate energy, and this attack can actually be pretty threatening.
I mean,
Especially
it on
Dark
its
Patch.
own is 110,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Yeah,
So that's pretty good,
or
actually.
120 rather. Excuse me.
Big fan of that.
Yeah.
All right. And then you want to read this Thievul, actually?
Yeah, the Thievul is a stage 1 with 100 HP. Its ability, if your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining, supporter cards played from your opponent's hand have no effect on your benched Pokemon V. So they can't, really, this is just that they can't boss you.
Yep.
And that's fine.
Yep.
Again, we've hit a critical mass. We need rotation. I'm like ready for rotation because we've hit like a critical mass of tech in this format.
I agree.
You can't fit everything, and the decks are becoming. Not that I don't like toolbox decks. I love toolbox decks, but
there's
a lot of it, and it's a little bit of a liability in Pokemon to be so techy.
Yep.
Because you still have to execute your game plan.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get a little clunky if you don't draw the right trainers with the right Pokemon, you know?
And some stuff was prized that you absolutely needed because you're so techy.
Yeah. It's rough. But this Thievul's cool.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really worried about getting bossed. But also your opponent has to be really ahead.
Yeah, they would have to. Basically, so it's saying that they can't boss up and take the game right there, which I don't know if that's worth it, but I think it's definitely an interesting ability for sure.
It's cool.
Mm-hmm. And then Magna Zone. I know you like Magna Zone. You want to talk about this one?
I do like Magna Zone. So this guy, it's a 150 HP metal Pokemon. Ability Giga Magnet. Once during your turn, you may look at the top 6 cards of your deck, choose any metal energy you find there, attach those energy to your Pokemon any way you like, and then shuffle the remaining back into your deck. So we got good old-fashioned acceleration.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on a stage 2, which is cool.
Yep.
And then its attack is metal and 2 colorless for 120 damage. So nothing to write home about there.
I don't like how its HP is only 150 because he always seemed like a sturdier mon to me, like be closer to 170 or 180. But
yeah, so there's also. Talk about this Magna Zone. The Magnemite and Magneton, it's kind of what I like in this line where you want to play a stage where you're looking for a stage 2 Pokemon. If you are stuck with like Magneton as your active, it's not bad. Like the Magneton's attack switches your opponent's active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. So like you're forcing them to use resources.
Yep.
You know, I mean the Magnemite's kind of whatever, but
well, the Magnemite has a decent attack, or a semi-decent attack, because you can search for 3 metal energies and add them to your hand.
Yeah, well, from your discard.
From your discard pile.
So, if you don't have a way to discard them, then... yeah. So the Magnemite is not anything to write home about, but the Magneton's like not the end of the world to get stuck in the active while you're waiting for something. I don't know. Yep. But what deck are you playing this in?
I think you're probably playing it on this Dialga V. Origin Dialga V and the V-Star. Okay. So 220 HP. The first attack is Metal Coat, so attach up to 2 metal energies from your discard pile to this Pokemon. So right off the bat, you don't even need the Magnemite. You can just do it yourself. And then halt time for metal, colorless for 180 damage.
Snooze.
Yeah, you don't really want that. But what we do
here's the boy.
Here's the boy. You want to cover him?
Yeah, sure. So, Origin Dialga... Origin Dialga V-Star, 280 HP. For a colorless, it's got Metal Blast. This is its only attack. That's its normal attack. 40 plus damage, 40 more damage for each metal energy attached to this Pokemon.
You'd have to, like, super accelerate metal.
But, if we're going to super accelerate metal anyway, we've got Chronostar, which is its V-Star attack, and it's 4 metal and a colorless. 220 damage, take an extra turn after this one.
Do you like extra turn mechanics? Time walking, I guess you would call it.
That is exactly what I would call it. Extra turn mechanics are... I don't want to go too much on a tangent here, because we're 30 minutes in, roughly. Extra turn mechanics are fine if they are ridiculously overcost. Or, honestly, if they're, like... So it's hard to... You gotta compare everything to Magic the Gathering, but you don't want to, right?
Yep.
Obviously, Time Walk is, like, not a fair card for 2 mana to take an extra turn, right? But Time Warp, or more recently, Allrun's Epiphany, those cards... So, like Time Walk with upside is not great. Like, Time Warp on its own, you have to have, like, a board state, you have to be ahead a little bit for it to be good, or it's like a catch-up card. Like, a lot of I've seen a lot of Time Warps played to just be like a 5-mana explore, right? Like, it's like, okay, I'll tap 5, take the extra turn, draw, play my land, go. So I just went from 5 to 6, was looking for a counter spell, whatever. And I think that I honestly think that they're fine in that aspect, but it's when you get into Time Walk Plus, like Part the Water Veil, which gives you like a 4/4 guy, or Auburnd's Epiphany, which has reduced cost and then leaves you, like, makes some birds on the board. That's the stuff that I don't love.
Gotcha.
And I'm talking about it in like a competitive, like, standard metagame. Not like Commander, you want to take infinite turns or whatever. Everybody's having a blast. I'm sure they love sitting there while you do that. That's great.
Right.
Even actually, perfect example, last night we drafted my buddy Justin's Cube, and I took like 3 turns in a row and didn't do anything. And it's like, even though I didn't like accelerate my board, I was still able to win because of the card advantage that I got off those turns, but my opponent Justin, was just like bored during that time. It's like, yep, okay. It's like, yep, Time Walk or Time Warp, and then I'll flash it back with my Jace, and then I'll pick it up with this and play it again. It's just it creates negative play experience, usually. Now, this one, I think if you're doing this, you're gonna win the game, usually. And I think that I'm fine with, because it doesn't prolong the game and make it unfun, it closes the game. It's not like Nexus of Fate for Magic, where you're just prolonging the game, or Allrun's Epiphany, where you're getting a little bit of card advantage out of it, but you're just creating a negative play experience for your opponent.
Yeah. So
I think specifically Chronostar I think this ability is fine. And then when you look at like mechanics in other games that give you an extra turn, like I'll compare it to Vanguard, like that stupid Gear Chronicle card. You have to jump through a billion hoops, and when it works, it's fun and great. But that's a best of 1 game. And if Pokemon's being played in best of 1, I don't like the idea of Chronostar, but I know that most cuts are played in best of 3.
Yep.
So I think this is a fine win condition.
Yeah, it is exactly a win condition. Part of me feels like I'd want more damage though for that cost, but I guess you really
you're gonna do 220, right? So you'll set it up so you'll kill something, and then you'll Metal Blast next turn with theoretically 5 metal energy on
for
this
200. Yeah.
So
I guess that makes
fine.
Sense. Yeah. I definitely think of the cover cards of the set, this is probably one of the weaker ones, especially when we look at Palkia, which we'll get to shortly. Oh boy. Okay. I think we should move on.
Anyway, sorry. That's what you asked me.
I was absolutely curious, because I personally am not a huge fan of Time Walk things, but that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. It's fine. Like, it's a mechanic that I don't think, like, if Time Walk was never printed, right? If Richard Garfield was never like, hey, let's make this is cute, then I legitimately don't think anything else. I don't think anyone else would have come up with it.
We're taking another turn. Yeah.
Right? Because it just seems like it inherently breaks the rules of every game.
Yep.
So I think if Time Walk was something different, there's different Power 9 card completely, entirely, I don't think any other card game would have extra turn mechanics.
I can agree to that. Okay.
Let's move on.
I wanted to talk about Hisuian Bravery, but I no longer want to talk about Hisuian Bravery. It's an interesting card. But this Weird Deer V, though, this is a really cool card to me. So it's a 220 normal Pokemon. It's a V as well, obviously. But its ability is Opening Round. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from the bench to become your active Pokemon, you may move any number of energy from other Pokemon to it. So he just comes in, and you just decide what energy that you want to attach to it, and then you can straight up attack right away. So it's basically a zero.
He's got to come from the bench.
Gotta come from the bench, sure. But yeah, when he moves in. But his
which
attack
I guess
is,
it would always anyway. So never mind.
Yeah.
Well, actually, hold on. I'm going to keep cutting you off because
Yeah.
it's only during your turn, right? So you have to promote it. Like when you promote it, it doesn't work.
Correct. Yep. But you'll have Air Balloon, Switch, Bird Keep. Like there's a lot.
You're going to build your deck around it for sure. I'm just saying it doesn't always do this.
Yep. Its attack though, Psy Shield Bash for 3 colorless does 40 damage, but it does another 40 times the number of energy attached to this Pokemon. So you can move all of your energy over to it if you had like 5 energy, whatever. So it would do 200 for just existing. A quick ball search, put it onto the active, switch it out, and then boom, attach all your energy, and this can clean up. Which I find very nice.
It is cool. It's a glass cannon, though. 220 HP, weak to fighting.
Yep, absolutely. And then we have Switch Cart, which I think is worth talking about because some decks could utilize it. So
I think this card's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's just better than Switch, right?
It's better. No, it's better to switch if you have active basic Pokemon.
Yeah, I guess that's I guess that's fair.
Yep. So if you have an active basic, you can switch it with one of your bench, and if you do heal 30 damage from the Pokemon, you move to your bench. So it's a switch with a little bit of a healing bonus, which is nice if for certain decks. But because V-Stars are evolutions, and a lot of good supporting Pokemon are also evolutions as well, it's a little bit less good. However, there are some like single stage Pokemon that this basic Pokemon, I should say, could really take advantage of it. So it's definitely worth talking about.
Yeah, it's also worth noting you don't have to swap it with a basic, so you just have to swap the basic from the active, and you can swap that for anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about trekking shoes?
Sure. You look at the top card of your deck, you may put that card into your hand or discard it and draw one card. So, this is just Consider from Magic.
Yeah.
Right?
I know people...
I don't know. I feel like the cantrips in this game are better than that.
Yeah, there was... I can't remember, because like I said, this is like 3 weeks old. But there was... People were really talking about like combos you could do with this, and I cannot think of it for the life of me right now. But it was definitely worth talking about. So, like Feather Ball, search your deck for a Pokemon with 0 retreat cost, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So this search is for... It doesn't say basic either, so this is a really good card for Jolteon, because the VMAX has zero retreat as well. You could use it in Mew, but I don't think you'd want to use it in Mew, because you also want to discard cards from your hand, which is why Ultra Ball is so nice.
You got enough card draw in Mew anyway.
Exactly. And then Adaman. This is also... I'm going to go over this one. You can go over Gardenia then.
Sure.
So this is also how you're going to accelerate Metal Energy. Discard 2 Metal Energy from your hand. If you do, search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So when I said accelerate the energy, you have Dialga's V's attack to attach them in the turn. So it's kind of clunky, honestly. But you do get to search your deck for any 2 cards.
Yeah, if you're gonna play the Origin Dialga deck, you're gonna play this card, right?
Yep.
Gardenia's Vitality. Actually, I don't know. I don't think this card's very good. Draw 2 cards that attach up to 2 grass energy from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon.
Was that? You really don't think this card's good?
No, this card, like anything that accelerates the grass, like that's because all we've been talking about this show is like
Grass
how
cells.
we need to accelerate energy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this card does it so well.
So well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. I wish I drew more than 2 cards. Maybe that's greedy, but
Well, because Welder back in the day, which is basically what this card is, it's like a tweaked version of Welder. Welder was absolutely broken. You would attach 2 fire energy from your hand, and then you would draw 3 cards. And that saw so much play. It was in almost every deck, even if they didn't play fire, because they didn't really care about that. You're just accelerating energy. So same thing with Gardenia. So I also like that you draw the cards first. So if you didn't have it, there's a chance to have it.
yeah,
Worst case, it's just to draw 2.
Yeah.
But it does have to be to your bench Pokemon, which Welder was not to the bench either. So something to keep in mind with that. But yeah, she's busted, really good. I like this Zisu card.
I like it too.
And it's really nice because it's basically Copycat, and Copycat just says draw until you have the same amount of cards as your opponent. But this Zisu says draw until you have 1 more than your opponent. So it's really nice in that aspect. But Copycat doesn't really see play.
I like this as like, I don't know. I would play this. It's just good tech, right? I'd play. You could search this up.
Yep.
When you need it.
Gapejaw Bog is what I was talking about.
That's the new arena, or the new stadium, rather. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yep. So when you play a basic from your hand onto your bench, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Oh, that's actually interesting. So there are ways where you can kind of cheat out stage 2 Pokemon or stage 1 or whatever. So it would actually get around putting damage on it, which is interesting because it only does it to basic Pokemon.
Yeah, if you use like a capture energy or something, right? Like
capture energy does put basic. Oh, is it just from your hand?
This is from hand.
Oh, yeah. So that's actually pretty interesting. I didn't look at that. I thought it was just whenever a card is put onto your bench. I didn't realize it was specifically from hand. Interesting. Okay. All right. So we're moving on to the Space Juggler. I think this one we can probably cut down a bit more.
Gonna go fast.
Yeah, Beedrill, Twin Needle, which is all that we care about. Oh no, sorry, not Twin Needle. Swarming Sting.
Swarming Sting
does 50 damage times the number of Beedrill V you have in play to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So it's a snipe up to 200 damage on any snipe for grass, colorless, which is okay, but requires a lot, and you've got a lot of liabilities because he's not very strong.
This card needs the Relentless Threats text on it. You have any number of them? That'd be sweet.
I definitely want to talk about both the Hisuian Voltorb and Electrode, just because of their attacks.
Yeah, they don't cost anything. So Hisuian Voltorb, 50 HP, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's got 0 cost chipper charge. You may use the stack only if you go second, and only on your first turn. Choose 2 of your bench Pokemon. For each of those, search your deck for a basic energy card attached to that Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. That's pretty good, Chief.
Yeah. Even it's got some specific qualifications, but it also doesn't cost any energy, and it's free acceleration.
Mm-hmm. And then evolves into Electrode, which both these attacks cost nothing. Triple draw 3 cards, and Irritation Palm, which is 50 damage.
Yep. That's
fine for no resource.
Yeah, exactly, and it's also 90 HP. Electrode is, so it's level ball searchable as well. So that's really cool. Just a cool card.
That's cool. I think this is something. I think these are something.
Yep. Also, Cricketune, just for his ability. We don't care about the attack. It's also an 90 HP Pokemon, so also level ball searchable. Overflowing Melody. HP of your grass Pokemon, excluding any Cricketune, is increased by 40, but you can only have 1 Overflowing Melody ability at a time. So that Hisuian Lilligant V actually becomes 300 for a V-Star, which is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Also, Leafeon VMAX also gets a lot chunkier too because of this. So definitely don't sneeze at the Cricketune.
Yeah, this card will stop you from getting one shot.
Yep. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is the Orb Beetle. You want to talk about the ability?
Yeah, sure. So Orb Beetle's the stage 2 from Dottler, 110 HP. Shaming Attach. Once during your turn, when you play this card from your hand to evolve a Pokemon, you may attach up to 3 energy cards from your opponent's discard pile to their Pokemon in any way that you like.
So there are quite a few attacks that do a lot of damage depending on how many energies your opponent has, like either on the board or attached to their active Pokemon. So you can throw this down, attach the energies, and now you're doing even more damage because of it, which I think is pretty fun.
Yeah, this seems like it's just going to bite you in the butt, though, and you also have to like rely on your Pokemon having, or your opponent having 3 energy in the discard pile.
Yep. Another thing that it's nice, it doesn't say basic energy, which is kind of nice too. But yeah, I would only do that if I can guarantee a kill on something, so that the energy goes back to the discard pile anyway. So, but I thought it was just a really, like, there's also something there. Like if we're talking about there's something there for Electrode, I think there's definitely something there.
Something there for this, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see the next one. Heatran V. This is all you, baby.
Yeah. So I like this Heatran, these guys a lot. So Heatran V, basic, 220 HP. It's got an attack for fire and a colorless that does 30 damage and burns, and then it's got fire colorless, lava fall, 90 plus damage. If you have a stadium in play, this attack does 90 more damage.
You mean like magma whatever?
Like magma basin?
Yeah. Pretty good.
So that's pretty good. And then we've got the VMAX, which is 330 HP, so a thick boy. Lava Enhancement is the ability. Once during your turn, if you have a stadium in play, you heal 50 from him, which is super obnoxious.
Yeah.
Honestly. And then Max Heat for red colorless, 180 damage, and it burns the opposing Pokemon.
Yep, which does another, I believe it's 20 damage in between turns, so it's actually 200 at that point, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. I like
That's
it.
Pretty good. You play this in like a Cheryl deck, right? And just like try to keep this thing alive forever.
Yeah, because it would be really easy to actually to attach energy to it and redo it every turn.
Yeah.
So I like it a lot.
Well, this thing it's not like kicking off its own energy. Like, once you get the energy on this...
Well, Cheryl would get rid of all
Cheryl would, yeah, but she's the base. Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
But yeah, there's Magma Basin, so you could do that, and then you can immediately get rid of the 50 damage done to it. You can attach from hand for turn, and then there also might be a way where you can attach another energy as well.
There's also that bad card we talked about, like the Bad Welder, right?
The Bad Welder, the Gardenia?
No.
Oh,
I don't remember the name of it. We talked about it last
Kindler.
Kindler!
Which I think he just discards a fire energy and draws cards, if I remember correctly.
Oh, is that it? It doesn't do any
I don't think he attaches, but I digress. There are ways where you can attach energy and you can make this work. Worst case scenario, you just got rid of all of your opponent's hard work, all the 200 plus damage that they just put on, and wasted all these resources to do it, and you're just gonna heal it off.
Yeah, this is super cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I also like this Golduck, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if it's good or not, but I think it could do a ton of disruption. So, the Entrainment Dive for Water colorless, discard both active Pokemon and all cards attached. You choose an active Pokemon first. So if they build up that Dialga,
get them out of here.
Exactly. I think it's a really cool attack. I do not know if it's going to see the time of like any play time at all, but I think it's a super cool thing. And I definitely wanted to mention it. All right,
yeah, it's silly. I like it.
Yeah. So Palkia V, Origin Palkia V. You want to cover this one?
All right, here we go. Old horse, no arms here. Origin Palkia V, water, so that's cool. 220 HP, basic. For a singular water, Domain Ruler. Search your deck for a stadium card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. I really wish this put it into play.
I do too.
Really, really, really wish this put it into play.
Yeah, put it into play at Path to the Peak right away. Boom.
That would be, man, that'd be so good. Anyway, Because you're going to put it into your hand, and they're just going to make you get rid of it. Like, it's
Yep.
almost not even worth doing. And then Hydro Break for Water Colorless. 200 damage. The Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. Pretty par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, here's real Big Horse, No Arms. This is what we're talking about here. Origin Palkia V-Star. 280 HP. Water for Spatial Swell. 60 plus damage. Does 20 more damage for each benched Pokemon. All the way around. So, could be a lot of damage.
It's a lot of damage. It's a really good costed attack too.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people are saying it's basically Suicune, which it kind of is. It does a little bit more damage up front, so you don't have to have as many Pokemon as Suicune needs. And also, this could work with Collapse Stadium too to get the same numbers that Suicune had by itself.
True.
Which is nice, but we really, really like the ability.
Yeah, so the V-Star power is Star Portal. Once during your turn, you use this ability, attach up to 3 water energy from your discard pile to your water Pokemon in any way that you like.
So this, I think, is a contender with Arceus for
just on raw power level.
Raw power level.
I agree.
Yep. This sets up so much. You could use this literally as a setup, but also has a dope attack too. So there's like zero downside to playing. It's not like teching in a VMAX because it's got a really cool ability that does a lot, but also the VMAXs give up 3 prizes. This is identically the same thing as a V Pokemon, basically. Gives it 2 prizes. So there's almost no reason to not tech this in if you're a water deck at all. So.
Yeah, and this does it from the bench, which is nice. Mm-hmm. Like if you're really worried about it and you've got a single prize, you can leave face up. So.
Yep, and if you play your cards right and you're able to throw down the stadium like a Collapse Stadium at the perfect time, you can get rid of it if you wanted to, for some reason. Also, it's nice that it doesn't have to attach to Pokemon V, which is where Arceus has to attach to Pokemon V. Mm-hmm. So if you're playing a single prize, this is actually a pretty nice little thing that you can do. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, this is cool. I like this. This might be the best card in the set.
I think it probably is. This is the one that people are going to be looking out for sure.
Pink boy.
The Togepi line is next.
Okay, yeah.
The only thing that matters are their ability, and I'll just read them off real quick. So Togepi, when it's played from bench, from your hand to your bench, heal 10 damage from your active Pokemon. That seems very whatever, right? But then we have Togetic, which does, when you evolve from during your turn, heal 30 to your active, and then Togekiss, same thing, but heal 90 instead. So, over turn, scoop up net, you can just heal for evolving, which I think might be actually kind of interesting with Heatran. Or like any other tank deck. Almost any other tank deck. So, definitely worth considering. We don't care about the attack at all, but
no, it's pretty trash, but it's cool. I like the idea of scoop up net.
Mm-hmm. We're not going to talk about any of the Lake Spirits because I think they're all really bad. The next thing I want to talk about was this Gastrodon, I think.
Oh, okay.
Oh, just because of the earthquake, I think. Oh, no, and recover, honestly. Discard an energy from this Pokemon, heal all damage from it, which was not bad. It is an attack, though, but Earthquake for 170, deal 20 to each of your bench Pokemon. So, that's generally what an Earthquake attack will do. There's also a Donphan from a couple earlier sets that would also do, I think it did 10 or 20, I can't remember, but I don't think it dealt as much damage as the Gastrodon would do. So if you're playing this with Machamp, this is a nice thing.
I see what you're driving at, yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is also...
A lot of energy, though.
Yeah, so I remember why I was confusing the Machamp when I thought it needed damage on each Pokemon on your bench, because the Pokemon Hisuian Zoroark from the next set does 50 damage for every bench Pokemon that you have that has a damage counter on it.
I see.
Which is where I was confusing it, but I think this Gastrodon is probably better for that. Spoiler alert, we'll talk about that at some other time, but that card is nuts. But But yeah, I really wanted to talk about that Gastrodon because of that Earthquake ability, or attack, because I think it might have some legs sometime.
You know what doesn't have any legs?
The bird? Oh, Carbink. Okay.
That's all. We don't have to talk about it.
Oh, okay. I was like,
legs.
I don't remember. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's a cute little floating rock.
It's a little rock.
Hisuian Decidueye, though, I think might have something.
Yeah, so this guy is Stage 2 of All Subdartrix. It's 160 HP. Okay. It is weak to Psychic. Alright, so. For 0, it's got Cutting Talon, 30x damage. This attack does 30 damage times the number of damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon. So this is a cute little finisher.
Yep.
And then Direct Arrow, it does 80 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon.
Yep.
For fighting. Colorless.
Yeah. So you can double turbo energy and a muscle band, non-muscle band. Jeez.
This seems like the worst.
I do think it seems like the worst. But I do like the snipe, and the Cutting Talon from like a nice cleanup. But
yeah, but you have to get there.
I agree.
I don't know. You know how I feel about Stage 2s by now, because every time we talk about one, I'm like, ugh,
you love them.
Stage 2.
They're your favorite. What do you think about this Cleavor, though? The Cleavor.
Cleavor. I'll tell you what. I don't like the art.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
Okay.
It looks like he's like floating.
Yeah. It's. I think he's like on like a hill or something, and he's chopping
he's
down.
Like definitely like chopping something, and he's like he's spreading them. He's spreading them big. All right, Cleavor V, 210 for a basic fighting type. For a single fighting, it's got 40 damage for cut.
I actually really like that attack. Especially with the choice belt, and because like Arceus is weak to fighting, right? And there are some other normal things.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's actually a really nice attack.
It's a meta. It's yeah.
Yep.
And then fighting colorless, battle axe, slash, 150 damage, discard an energy from this Pokemon, and then discard an energy from the opponent's active Pokemon. So that's cool. A little disruption.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate it.
Don't hate it.
He's okay, but then we've got V-Star, Cleavor V-Star, right? 270 HP. Fighting colorless for Break Axe, 120 damage. It does 60 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon V. So that's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
And then the V-Star Power is for a fighting, rampaging star, 30 times damage. This attack does 30 damage for each Pokemon in your discard pile. So, here's my hot take.
Mm-hmm.
These don't have any synergy with each other at all.
No. Not really.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. This doesn't seem very good to me.
I also just remember this is going to be in its own box set, so it's actually not in the set. It's not in Astral Radiance.
Right.
So, I think it's interesting. I think there's enough things to do with it, but yeah, it's not. It's no Lucario V-Star.
No, it's not, and it's weak to grass too. And not that that's like a thing, but I think it might be.
It might be a thing later
honestly.
On. Yeah, in the future, I think it probably will be because grass feels like they're ramping up for something.
I feel like every time we talk about a grass card, we're like, "This is pretty good." Like, you know, it's close.
Yep.
I wish Arceus had like you could make his attack count as like any type or something. That'd be so cool. That'd be so like thematic.
Well, so what? Back in the day, there used to be like plates as like item cards, and so you would attach it, and then it could literally turn it into whatever type that was. So then you could do it that way.
Yeah, but then you got to fill your deck with all the plates, and that's I guess not all the plates, just the ones that the
meta
care about. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
But
well, there's actually
a lot of work.
I'm gonna say you could tech the gloves in.
You could tech in the gloves, or we could just talk about the Sneezler that you like so much.
Yeah. Actually, we're gonna Yeah, we'll talk about Sneezler. Carrying climb, this is the only thing that really matters. As long as this Pokemon's
Yep.
on your bench, your active Pokemon's retreat cost is colorless, less. So it helps you retreat and get out of there, which is pretty nice, actually. It is, again, it's another tech card, but, it might help with some other thicker boys trying to get out of the active. Have to use less energy or less switching cards, so it's a thing. But the Sneasler V is what I really wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 190 dark Pokemon, 190 HP dark Pokemon. It's got Poison Claws for a costless attack. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Very whatever, but it's a free cost, so a free attack, so we're not gonna complain about that. It's got Dark and Colorless, so Dire Claw does 80 damage times the number of special conditions affecting your opponent's active Pokemon. So if you team it up with the the Typhlosion, just from this set, or these two sets, that's 160 damage for 2 energy, which is pretty good. There's also a Butterfree, that when it's evolves from a Metapod, it does 3 status conditions, I believe. I can't remember off the top of my head, and that's something you can also use the Scoop Up Net with. And there are ways that I think the Sneasler can actually pump out the damage, because you really just need 3 for it to knock out most Pokemon Vs. Because that would put it at 280 damage, or 240 damage, just for 3 special conditions. So I think that there's something there, but I don't think that there will be something there when when rotation happens. So I think it's worth mentioning. Let's see. The next thing that I have is Bronzong. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacking your opponent's Fire-type Pokemon. So it could be a nice stall if Fire becomes ever relevant, which probably won't. Oranguru V. You want to cover this one?
Sure, yeah. So it's a colorless Pokemon, 210 HP. It's V basic. This is ability order. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may search your deck for 2 Pokemon tools, reveal them, put them into your hand. Hey, Honchkrow Tech, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's got, for triple colorless, it's got Psychic 30 plus, and it's additional 50 damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active.
Yeah, so that's kind of like what I was saying with the Orb Beetle, right? So this would be attached to energy. That's 180, but triple colorless. So I don't know, but being able to search out for 2 tools is pretty nice, actually.
Yeah, no, I like it because you can grab, like, I don't know, a choice belt and an air balloon or something.
Air balloon. Yeah, there's a lot you can grab. So big fan of that. And then this Kamala, actually, I think, if this Pokemon it's an ability. If it was asleep and gets knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, your opponent doesn't take any prize cards for it, and its attack does, for 2 colorless, puts it to sleep.
That's so obnoxious.
Yeah, so I think that might be a control card in the future. That's
so stupid. I love it.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Lily's Pokédoll, but with a couple more steps in between. Yeah. Energy Lotto is a reprint. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck, reveal an energy card you find there, put it into your hand, shuffle the rest of the cards back in your deck. So this grabs any energy. It doesn't have to be a basic energy, which is pretty nice. I could see decks playing that. Heavy Ball, though. I think this is nuts.
Yeah, look at your face down prize cards. You may reveal a basic Pokemon and put it into your hand. Then shuffle the Heavy Ball into your prize cards.
Yep. Which is nice. So it's free prize knowledge, and also if you do have a basic Pokemon that you needed, you can grab it out. I think it's really solid. Really solid. And
I like this card.
Yeah. And then we have Super Effective Glasses, which is a Pokemon tool. When the Pokemon this card is attached to does damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, and that damage is affected by weakness, the weakness becomes ×3 instead of ×2.
Is this necessary?
I think it's necessary for single prize decks, but it's going to be very situational. I think the only deck right now that I can think of that could really utilize it would be the Zoroark Wormadam deck, because that whole deck plays a bunch of stage ones and it transforms into whatever stage one would be effective for the situation. So if you could attach this, and then normally it's not like one hitting things, or maybe it is, or if someone has like a thicker card that you can't one shot with weakness, now this kind of fixes your numbers.
Okay.
It's very situational. You more often than not are never going to play it, but for single prize decks, I think you can absolutely have a case for it. All right, next card, Irida. Irida.
This card seems nuts, dude.
Yeah.
It's a supporter. Search your deck for a water Pokemon and an item card. Reveal them, put them into your hand, shuffle. Ugh.
You get that Palkia, and then you can get another item to get another Pokemon or whatever you needed.
This is so good.
It feels so much better than Adaman, too, in my opinion. I don't know,
man. I mean, they're both really good. Like, this is just like... I don't know. This is just such a good card.
And I also really like this Grant card. I needed to figure out how how it actually works. But what he says is, during your turn, your fighting Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance, which is actually really important. Because that would also fix numbers. So he also has a second effect. Once during your turn, if this card is in your discard pile, you may discard 2 cards, except for Grant, from your hand. If you do, put this card into your hand. So I don't know if this has to be the same turn that you played Grant. It doesn't. My common sense would say that it doesn't have to be the same time.
This is an ability that exists while it's in the discard pile.
Right. Yeah. So that's nice because you can recur it. And you can discard 2 cards for that, which some decks actually would like, especially if you're playing like Barrel or something like that, where you can add it back to your hand and then you can do more draw more cards, and then do a little bit more damage for if you're a fighting deck, which I really appreciate. I don't like the Choi. I don't want to talk about Choi.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Temple
of Sinnoh. Each special energy attached to a Pokemon in play is the stadium. Each special energy attached to a Pokemon in play provides colorless energy and has no other effect.
That's insane.
I like it.
The format right now is basically ruled by special energy. So especially double turbo energy, you throw that down there. Now it's just a single colorless. So it still had. Yeah,
it's the type of stuff I really like.
Yeah, it still has the downside too, because it just provides one colorless energy, but you would still have the minus.
No, it says and has no other effect.
Oh, okay, sorry, I missed that. All right, so that's actually really good, dude. I think people are going to be complaining about that card. If they're complaining about Path to the Peak, they're going to be bawling about that card.
Good.
Yeah, and then 2 more cards to talk about: Darkrai V and V-Star. I can read them off real quick. 210 HP on the V. Dark Colorless does 50 damage. Dark Colorless. Dark Hole 130. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep and then that's it for that, which is very fine. But Darkrai V-Star 270 HP. Dark Pulse does 30 plus damage. 30 more damage for each dark energy attached to your Pokemon. It's all of your Pokemon, which is really nice, especially when Dark Pulse comes out. Oh, there's colorless, double colorless, by the way. So you can use the double double turbo.
Turbo colorless energy.
Yep. And then you can.
Yeah, but that's a little counterintuitive, isn't it?
It is. But there are other ways to accelerate.
You could do it. You could do it.
Mm-hmm. But his ability is Star Abyss, which is a V-Star power. During your turn, you may search your discard pile for up to 2 item cards, put them into your hand, then you can't use the V-Star power for the rest of the game. That's nice, especially if you really need to get back turbo energies or other important item cards. Not Turbo Energy, sorry. Dark Patch. Dark Patch. I don't know where I got Turbo Energies from. We can grab those Dark Patches back, which is pretty nice, and accelerate more Dark Energy. I think it's okay. I know a lot of people are really hyped for it, but I think it's kind of lost some of its luster, especially when we've seen some of the other cards coming out, like Hisuian Samurott V and V Star. I think just blows this out of the water, honestly. But
yeah, I agree. They're just better.
Yep. It's unfortunate that we saw the Darkrai V before we saw the the Samurott.
It's unfortunate, but it is.
It is what it is. Also, another thing to keep in mind: these were in like this and the Lucario V Star were in like starter deck equipment. Not necessarily starter deck, just like a step above starter deck equivalent in Japan. And for us, they threw them into the set. So if you take it out of context and just put it into like it was in a starter deck, basically, then I think it's totally fine. But yeah. And they're also weak to grass, which is really nice. So it's not weak to fighting. So
okay, yeah, no, you're right. That's not nothing.
Yeah, can't get Urshifood, which is a big thing right now. So I like them, but I definitely think that Samurott is better because Samurott's also weak to grass too. So big fan of the Samurott.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
I think that's everything that we want to talk about today. There's a lot. There was a lot. Yeah.
That's okay.
I think we'll probably just end it here. There's a lot more cards come out. I think we'll be more selective next time. These sets were just both really big, so there was a lot to talk about. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you can give us a like and a follow, and wherever you are listening to this podcast, I should say.
I like how you don't even like riff when you're like trying to find like your outro thing. You're just like, hold on,
because it's easy for me to cut and it makes it cleaner.
I know it's just funny.
I'm a producer, Andy. I produce.
Just read the thing. God.
I don't have a thing for this. I need to come up with a thing. Wherever you find podcasts, we should be there. I'm still working on the iTunes or Apple Podcasts because they're really complicated. But we are on YouTube, and a few people are actually listening to our podcast on YouTube, which is greatly appreciated. Thank you for doing that. There's also other content coming to YouTube. I'm doing a monotype Nuzlocke in Sword, if anyone's interested in that. Other than that, if you want to contribute a couple dollars to Patreon every month, that'd be greatly appreciated. That's patreon.com/banhammergames, all one word. Also join our Discord where we talk about a lot of other games, like MCP just got some new stuff. That's Marvel Crisis Protocol. Marvel Champions got some new heroes. Overwatch 2 is popping off, and people are getting excited for that. A lot of stuff happening in our Discord. And yeah,
Person's getting excited for that.
Yeah.
No, it'll be fun to play for 20 minutes and then put it down when we realize it's the exact same game.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I'm on Twitter at Cole_McCune. That's COLE_MCCUNE. I don't think I have a Twitter set up for this yet, but I probably will just convert Perfect Guard to Banhammer Games. So go ahead and follow Perfect Guard Podcast, and then I'll probably just convert that to Banhammer. Andy, where can you be found?
Yeah, you can just Twitter. You can DM me at NerdBane or just at me or whatever, or just through the Discord. Same deal, NerdBane. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. No episode next week because we're taking our break, but we'll be back with Captain's Call the week after. And oh boy, there's some stuff for Captain's Call. Some flesh and blood stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about, but I'm also going to complain a lot.
Oh, I can't wait. I really want to know what you're complaining about.
It's going to be a good episode.
All right. We're heading out. We'll see you whenever we see you.
Bye, everybody.